Creo 4.0, Lesson 5, Part 1. In this lesson, we're going to get a little more deeper into the modeling process. We're going to do the angled anchor part here. So we'll start off with a new part. I'm just going to give a truncated name. And, excuse me, we are going to go to View and make sure our tags are showing. And I think we're going to go in and look at our options. We will keep pretty much everything the same, but you should always look at this. Excuse me. You will notice that I have on a custom because I like to have the background white. So I've changed some of these. And normally what I'll do if I'm starting a new project, I will import from that particular folder my system colors and then save it. And I noticed I did not set my working directory, so I'm going to go and manage my session, go to the select working directory, and pick on the one that I want to put all of my parts in. You want to have all your parts, drawings, assemblies, etc. in the same folder, unless you have some data management system that you're working with. And in this case, we're just working with the plain version of Creo 4. Now, one thing we want to do is we want to look at our tree filters, and as usual, I like to turn all of these on. Apply, okay. And also, while we're there, let's look at our layers, and we'll see that the system will create layers automatically depending on the type of features that are there. We can create our own layers also, but you'll see that our part has the datum planes listed here. So we'll go back over, and I think one thing we did do is we had you change this name for the coordinate system. And I'll just change it to anchor. All right, so I'm going to go back over to my model tab. I'm going to be sketching on the front view. If I click on it, the context sensitive menu pops up. And we're going to pick on extrude. And I think we'll go into our sketch view. Excuse me. And what we want to do is normally where you're going to sketch right in the middle and connect everything to these references. This is a reference and this is a reference already. If you right mouse button and you click on references, you'll see that those two are listed. So we are going to just simply use the line command, line tool, and create 4 lines. I always pull mine off when I'm done. Let's see if I got that right. No, looks like I keep hitting my middle mouse button accidentally. So I really want to finish this. Then I pull this off and then I click on my middle mouse button twice. And right mouse button, we are going to use our fillet and connect it one line to another. Wherever you click, that's pretty much where it's going to put the radius value. Now, this angle here is not the angle that we wish to display on the drawing. We want to have it determined by an angle between here and the line or the reference down here. And this is 25 degrees, so we can put that in there right now. Now, there's only 3 dimensions here. So I can go and just change these. These are very large right now. So I know this is going to be 1.125. And I know this is going to be 1. And this one is going to be 5.5. So instead of modifying them, I just with the menu and with the dialog, I just did each one of them individually. You'll notice that this is not active here, the select. If I hit my middle mouse button, then the cursor becomes active for another command. And if I wanted to move these around, I could do that. Get them off the face of the object. as per standards. I'm going to rotate. I always like to rotate it a little bit. Right mouse button, check. And we are going to have a 2.625 depth, as I recall. All these dimensions are, of course, in the text. We'll go down and we'll see these are the dimensions we're using right now. 1 inch diameter, 25 degrees, 1.125. And the depth, if I go down here, I think it's 2.625. And again, it's 2.56. Okay, so double click on it. And my depth dimensions under here, 2.5625. And again, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference in the beginning because you can always change it. Control D. And I want to turn the view into a isometric option. Like that. And I think I'll work in a different color. And we can go to more appearances here and you can see that there's all kinds of choices we have. Go to metal. And over here we can change it to whatever color and shade that we want. If you want this to have more options, you put it on generic and then the reflection, the highlight, can be altered. And you'll see the reflection there on the tangent surface. So Control D, or I can always go into my standard orientation. All right, so we have our first feature. We want to make a couple of cuts now. And these cuts, go down a little bit farther, are both going to be on the same plane. In other words, we're going to use this datum plane back here for my sketching plane. So I normally like to just go and select it from the menu, from the ribbon, rather than the pop-up. I can do it here, but it's going to automatically make it an extrusion, not a remove material extrusion. So I'm going to pick extrude, right mouse button, remove material, right mouse button, define internal sketch, which is the same thing as going placement define. And we're going to pick the front datum here. Notice the arrow goes in this direction. So that's the direction of viewing. And we go back over to our sketch view. And you're just going to turn the model. Now we have a reference over here and we have a reference over here. And in the book it tells you to create a reference on the top and on the side. Now we saw in previous lessons that we can just sketch and it will create a reference. But in this case it will not do that because on the top here you have a tangency. So we want to go into our references or from the ribbon, select the top edge here of the surface, and we might as well pick the one on the side here at the same time. Solve, middle mouse button, or you can just simply continue on, right mouse button and select. It eliminates having to shut that dialog. Now, depending on whether I go this way or this way, it'll put on different weak dimensions. I don't want to go all the way down to here. If I did not want a dimension controlling the depth of this cut, I would go to this and it would be controlled by the edge of the angle of the first feature. Now this is an open section. So I only attached it here and here. You can make it a closed one. It doesn't make any difference. PTC does say a closed one is better than an open, but many years ago it said the opposite. So we'll leave this one open. But as far as the dimensioning scheme goes, I really want different dimensions here. So I'm going to go and select the line reference and the line. And then from the line to the reference on the bottom. And these are the two dimensions I want. And they are going to be 1.875 and 1 1/8. So this one does match up with the angle. Like so. I rotate my model. Right mouse button check. And you can see it's going in the wrong direction. So click here. You can see what happens if I click there. So I'm going to flip that arrow. And I want this to go all the way through the object. All right, so let's go Control D and finish that feature. So there's my cut. Now the next cut, extrude, right mouse button, remove material, right mouse button, define internal sketch. Everything is the same. And here we're just going to say select previous or use previous. So it'll automatically go back to where we were. Now the references aren't there anymore. We do have a reference down here and here, but the ones we created for the top and here, this is a new sketch. Those references do not get transferred. But in this case, we're going to go from here and here with our cut. So I'm not going to bother to create a new reference along the edge. I'm just going to click here. I don't want to go in the middle. I'm just going to click here somewhere, go up, and then go over. And with Creo 4.0, it automatically is going to create that reference along the edge here. I hit my middle mouse button twice. And now in this case, my dimensioning scheme wants me to dimension the portion that's going to be removed. So I have this dimension here, right mouse button dimension. If I move this over here and then I alter this one, it may get rid of the height dimension and put another type of dimension in there for me. So normally what I like to do is just dimension, click on the line and move it. And now, even though it's the same process, they're design dimensions, not values, dimensions. This one is 1.0625, and the other one is 0.5625. And it's rounding them off to 3 decimal places. Check. Again, flip my arrow. The reason it's doing that is because it wants to follow what this datum plane is. Datum planes have 2 sides. So it's assuming that you want to go from that datum plane out, but we want to click it here. Now, if this was a solid, what would happen? But we do want it to be a cut, remove material, and through all, or we could say to selected, and select here. Middle mouse button, and there's my second feature. Now, my third feature is going to be down the middle of this top portion. So I want something to sketch on because it's going to be a symmetrical cut. You can see it here. So I'm going to start off by selecting my datum plane and then pick on the datum or the plane or datum plane creation. And I want this to be 1.875 divided by 2. And I can't stress enough, don't do the math. Let the system do the math. So I put that in there. Now, while we're here, let's go to our options. And let's go to our sketcher. And let's increase this to 4 places. Click on a couple of features. Now, when we go into the sketcher, well, let's do this first. We're going to use datum plane 1 to sketch on. And we're going to make a cut. So I'm going to click on extrude, remove material, define internal sketch, select DTM1 for my sketching plane. And then I'm going to go into my 2D sketch. Now, I want to have some references here. I want to reference here, some other stuff. In fact, before I continue, I am going to cancel out of here because I want to create my datum plane first. Now, it's not necessary, but I think I had you do it in the in the book. So I'm going to have you instead select here and go into plane, and we want this to be through. Okay, and now we have a datum plane there. And since we did the datum plane, we might as well set the datum planes. So I'm going to click on the bottom here, which would be datum plane A, using geometric tolerancing. And A, and then enter. You don't have to type in a capital. It'll make it a capital. And I'm going to put the datum tag on there. And here's datum A. That's on the bottom. Now the back one here, the front, that should be datum plane B. So again, B, make sure I click over here. And we have B. On the left side here, that's datum plane C. And this will be datum plane D. And the new one we put on here last was E, according to the book. So now we have our set datum planes. Now, what does that do? First of all, they're features of the part. Second of all, if I go and I shut everything off, the only thing that went away is my axes, or my, in this case, my center line, I'm sorry, my coordinate system, nothing else. Because these are really features of the part. You can go up here and you can hide them, but you cannot turn them on and off. All right, so back to our cut, our symmetrical cut. Extrude, remove material, define, pick the datum plane, middle mouse button if you wish, turn the view, and now let's put in some references. You can go up here to references or right mouse button references. And I want to use this edge and also along here. So we have them all the way around now. And you can shut this, or you just can come over and select another command. In this case, we're going to put a point, and I'm going to put it at the intersection of these two references. Without the references, it wouldn't snap to the corner there. Now, next thing is we're going to draw some lines. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to be careful where I go. I don't want it to be right in the middle or anything like that. So I'm just going to come up here somewhere, and then I'm going to be a little bit careful. And I think I'll turn this into hidden line so you can see it. And I want it to be 90 degrees. So I'm perpendicular. If I don't get that, I can also change it with a constraint, but it's easier to do it right now, or more efficient, I should say. Middle mouse button a couple of times, and there's my dimensions. Now this dimension I want. See if I can get over here and find the dimensions for this cut. We'll go up to the top view. Maybe it's got it on that one. Okay, so it's 3.125 and 1.5. So I've got this dimension here. If I change it, 1.5, now it won't go away or put a dimension right here when I change this dimensioning scheme. I'm creating a dimension scheme right now. I want to go not from a point, but from a line to a point, and then middle mouse button. Then click. And this one is supposed to be 3.125. Like so. You can see the reference here. All right, so right mouse button, check. And I do want to see this as shading, and let's see what it looks like. So a couple things I want to change. One of them is, if I put my cursor over the top here, I want to make this symmetric. I could have also got this up here. Now, as I recall, it's 0.75 for my cut. Looks okay. I can hit my enter on my keyboard, middle mouse button on my mouse, or check here to complete that particular feature. Now, if I wanted to see that a little bit better, I could go and I could maybe make some changes in my color here. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to select a color, and I'm going to just pick some surfaces. Hold down my control key. In this case, I think I'm just going to go around and select the cuts from the original shape, like so. Now, if I wanted to, I could change that a little bit. I could go and edit it. And in this case, what if I want to make it a little bit transparent? Like so. Now, I've got a couple holes I want to put on here. One of them is going to be in here, and one of them is going to go down through the middle of this rounded feature, this ear up here. So I'm going to click on the model. I could select the surface first. And when I do that, one of the choices is the hole tool. Now it wants to know where that hole is going to go. So I want it to be referenced from B, and I want it to be referenced from this edge. Now you got to make sure the edge is selected. If it isn't, then you remove it and then do it again. So I selected B and that edge for my 2 dimensions. Now in the book, it actually has you do this in a dimension that's not the same as the one given for the drawing in the beginning. And there's a reason for that. Let's see if I can go down here and find this. And the reason for it is because when you get to the draw mode in lesson 11, I want you to have this available to change. So if you make it correct now, then you're going to have a little bit of a problem then, because it's not going to be the same as the steps in the book. So here we are. So the hole diameter is going to be 1. I can change that. Oh, I did the distance over. I didn't mean to do that, but it's okay. So I'm going to click on 1 here, and I'm going to click on the Shape tab, and I do want the point to be shown. And the depth of the hole is 1 also. So I got 1 for the depth. Like so. All right. Now, as far as the distance over, before we do that, you can see you can move this around. So I want to change the dimensions in its location. And this one here, I'm going to make 0.875. And this one here, I think it's 2.65. Let's see what goes. Nope, too far. So again, I want to make sure that this dimension is not the design dimension. I want it to be what is going to be used later when we make our change. So 2.0625 it claims here. Let's see if that's correct. 2.0625. Hit enter. That's still too far. So I'm going to just change this to 2.45 and see where it goes. And I'm going to leave it there. I think that's a little bit farther up. The main thing, it's not in the correct position. That's the main thing. We don't want it to be. We want to be able to use that dimension later and make a change. So check. And there's my hole. Now the last feature is going to go through here, this ear. So I'm just going to select here. And I'm also going to select the hole. Now let's do this. I'm going to select on the hole tool, and then I'm going to open up the placement, and it's looking for its placement. So if I click on here, that's 1. And if I hold the control key down and I kick, no, I don't have to. So I'm just going to, the offset, let's see what happens if I click here. Okay, so it doesn't work because it's looking for 2 things. Now, the way to change this is, I'm going to remove it, and I could come over here and I could create an axis right now. I'm going to cancel out here instead, and I'm going to create the axis in the very beginning. So I'm going to select on here, I'm going to create an axis. And you can see the axis comes up. And then I'm going to hold down the control key. No, I think I'll just hit hole. It's going to go through there, but it doesn't know where to start. It doesn't know where that hole is supposed to start at. So I'm going to look at my placement. It's looking for a second item, and I want to hold down my control key, and I'm going to pick on the datum plane that we created, datum D. And the diameter is going to be 0.25, like so. And the direction or distance, if I click on here with my right mouse button, I can say through all, but it's only going to go one direction. So under the shape tab, we got through all, and we are going to go through all in the other direction too. Now, for some reason, the option of through all in both directions does not pop up here for the hole. If it was an extruded circle, it would. So there's my hole through the axis, middle mouse button, Control D. And this is the first modeling stage. We are going to do a lot of other work on this model, but it's more for setup information and editing colors and geometric tolerancing, etc. So we're going to do some other work on it. This ends the first part of lesson 5, though.